Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is beat that like button like it owes you money before watching this, so it reaches a wider audience. Also, before I get on with the memes, first a word from today's sponsor, the MGTOW book collection part 2. Whether you're getting camel toe in Cambodia, banging babes in burqas in Turkey, or taking Polaroids of ladyboys in Thailand, Luca Vendetti has a series of books to make you live the dream. His new 3-booklet series includes How to Live on $500 a Month in Cambodia, Turkey, and Vietnam, in addition to his classic How to Retire on $200K in Southeast Asia. He also has the MGTOW book. Visit MGTOWbooks.com and use the promo code Sandman to get 10% off. Now available in 4 formats: PDF, Mobi for Kindle, EPUB, and text-to-speech MP3. Sponsor link is down below. And now on with the memes. Number 1, here's a list of the most educated and least educated states in America. You can clearly see that America's universities are effective in spreading Marxism. In Europe, university tuition is free, and it's mostly a socialist paradise. Educated no longer means what it used to mean, which is knowledge and critical thinking. Now it's a euphemism for hours spent in school being indoctrinated. Degrees used to mean intelligence, but not anymore. Number 2, Joey says that women are considering starting something called the 4B movement to spite men for voting for Trump in large numbers. The 4Bs are no sex, no relationships, no marriage, and no kids. This started in Korea and they're just copying it. They're copycats. It probably won't last longer than a few weeks for promiscuous American women though. Besides, they already deny those things to 80% of young men out there. Men have already gone their own way and now women are copying it too. Number 3, here's a man-made horror that's beyond comprehension. Trans men threaten to sue the NHS in Britain after they leave them with half-built penises. They weren't told there were longer wait times, and many have been waiting for years to get the work done on their new wedding tackle. Even when that so-called work is done, there'll still never be anything remotely close to resembling a schwing there. Moving on, I'm sorry guys, but she's going to be withholding sex for 4 years to punish MAGA voters. Unless, of course, cardiovascular disease doesn't get her first. But okay, offer accepted, and that's a sacrifice that I can live with. If women want to deprive men of sex, they should just marry men, and they'll know for sure that the guy won't be getting any. No wonder the population is declining and women like her are tens these days. Buy stock in Energizer because it's the battery that helps toys keep going and going. Number 5, suddenly I feel a lot less sympathy for Squirrel Daddy, the guy that was Peanut's dad. He has an OF page, and I wonder if the reason the state took Peanut away was because he made appearances in his OF page. Sure, him and his partner were weird, but it's still not an excuse to end a cute, adorable squirrel and raccoon. Here's his wife, and they both use the Peanut tragedy to promote their Lonely Fools pages. Makes you wonder if all this might have been staged. Up next, higher education has reached a new low. This law student faces expulsion for aggressive pointing. This is now considered toxic masculinity. Apparently it's all to protect women from discrimination. Pointing at a woman is now considered that. How are we supposed to protect men from crazy laws if they won't even allow us males to graduate from law school? I kind of think that's the point. Number 7, the Trump derangement syndrome continues, as Rosie O'Donnell wants the racist electoral college abolished as Trump wins the popular vote. It doesn't matter if they abolish either of those things. They still would have lost. The COPE is getting crazy and they want to change the rules when they aren't working out for them. Hey Rosie, maybe it's time for you to cry harder. Can't wait for her and Madonna to hold a rally on Inauguration Day Part 2. Moving on, so now people are pointing out that there's anti-Semitism in Minecraft. If that's the case, then why is Jack Black playing Steve in the movie? Besides, the villagers in the game are helpful and friendly. Most of the time they just stand there. This is what happens when you have a society where nothing is offensive and hurtful anymore. People start making things up that are spiteful and hateful. People say they're Jewish because the golems that protect their villages come from Jewish folklore. It's all just so crazy. Number 9, a frustrated dad uses his son to shame the city council into fixing a deep pothole. I know it isn't, but it looks like terrible Photoshop. How is this a pothole when it's not even on the side of the road, but it's actually in a ditch? But I think this form of protest is great because the state will lose their minds trying to cover up the so-called toxic masculinity on the roads. Maybe that hole was originally dug by the Viet Cong so they could hide there. Up next, some actress I've never heard of before is doing horseback riding for weight loss. In only 1 month, the horse lost 20 pounds. Women have fetishes for horses because of how it feels when they ride them, and of course the horse does all the work just like a man. Lady, will you please lose some weight and show some mercy to that horse? Number 11, some guy says he's racist, but he's also impressed by that Ebony Heine. I'd love to play her like I play the dark piano keys and pay the toll for burning the coal. Maybe we should get more migrants that look like this one instead of the current ones crossing the border. But just make sure you don't look at this woman's face because it probably looks like a butterface. Moving on, here's what dating in 2024 looks like. This guy tells this girl that he hopes a tiny girl like her can take a large swing swang. She asks him what's wrong with him. He says how does she expect him to treat her after seeing her OF page on her Instagram bio. This is probably fake engagement farming to get people to sign up for her OF page, while men with self-worth laugh at her. It's also a shame that she's on OF because she looks so innocent. Number 13, we have a blue-haired Barbie representing average liberal women these days, filming themselves so they can act like a victim. Unfortunately, none of them are this good looking, although they think they are. Remember those kids that you saw screaming, crying, and kicking while the parents stood by and did nothing in the grocery store, and you said to yourself, God help us when they grow up? Well, they grew up and this is the results. Up next, someone needs to make this happen. Having Andrew Tate as the White House press secretary would be awesome, with him calling the lamestream media reporters dorks. I'm not saying he would be good, but he would certainly be entertaining and I'd watch it. Heed Tate's warning. You have 4 years to get enough wealth to escape the tyranny of the West. Don't relax just because Trump is in office. Use his term as an opportunity because you know that the woke tards will be back worse than ever. Number 15, is this the ideal woman? A virgin that dates for marriage, wants children, loves her father, is conservative, etc., etc. As far as I'm concerned, the ideal woman doesn't exist. Yet. We will build her as an android with an artificial moon one day. This also missed that she needs to be under the age of 25. This woman sort of existed back in the 1950s and was grateful because she had just gone through the Great Depression in the 1930s and then rationing in WW2, and finally inflation in the late 1940s. Suffering makes women like this, and I don't see women suffering these days unless you call suffering not getting a 40% tip at their Starbucks barista gig. Moving on, this so-called female asked for suggestions on how to look more feminine in appearance. Carl says if you want to look more feminine, then don't rest your nuts on the sink. But I don't think that's even a nutsack. Looks more like a coin purse to me. If this person really wants to look more feminine, then I suggest holding the phone at least 600 feet away from that mirror. That'll do the trick. Number 17, would you smash this single mother of 3? 3 what? Goblins, perhaps. She says she has enough animals to start a small zoo and wants someone to match her energy. How about Lurch from Addams Family? He will match her energy for sure. The scary thing is that someone smashed this at least 3 times. She's sexy in a mummified pincushion on antidepressant sort of way. And she was probably an extra on The Walking Dead. Up next, this American streamer faces 10 years in prison for desecrating a Korean comfort women memorial. It was to commemorate the women that were used as sex slaves by the Japanese soldiers in WW2. As for this guy, I'm sure he'll be the comfort man in Korean prison for both the guards and the prisoners. Then again, Asians are super racist towards blacks, so they probably won't even touch him. Why would he do this? It's like going to Israel and desecrating a Holocaust memorial or something. Number 19, it's 1 down and 1 to go. Looks like Trudeau is next to go. But he still calls the shots, and the latest he can call another election is about 10 or 11 months. And he knows his life is over when he does. No marriage and no longer the prime minister, and what's he going to do next? Possibly go back to being a substitute drama teacher. If the election were held today, he would come in 3rd place. I think he's just enjoying his position for another year before he has to go back to living the single life, lonely and on his trust fund. Moving on, this is really incredible. Epic rap battles of history has predicted every single presidential winner for the last 4 elections. He's always been on the left-hand side of the screen. I can't wait to see who they put on the left-hand side of the screen for 2028. What's also scary is they got 162 million views on this video in 2012, but only 4.2 million on the last one. We are witnessing the slow motion death of YouTube. Number 21, I remember seeing this Lego set when I was 11 years old in the stores, and I wanted it so badly. It was $110 back then. Today on eBay, it's $19,000 sealed. You can still get an open one for around $500 with the box and instructions. You think that's expensive, the new AT-AT Star Wars set is $1,000, and the new Millennium Falcon is $800. Adult investors are wrecking the hobby. Lego is rising in price more than gold is. Up next, what the hell is this? a black man whipping white slaves to pick the cotton faster with the ghost of Martin Luther King smiling down from heaven. But we all know that MLK would never have approved of this. It's an insult to him and his "I have a dream" speech. Those on the left, on the other hand, would love to see something like this. And this is what these boys will look like only after a couple of days. They don't call them rednecks for nothing. Number 23, this woman sells farts for a living but still deserves respect, because it's not an easy job. She's also an OF creator, so once again, we know this is a really thinly veiled ad for her page, as well as her farts. She makes $7,500 a month selling farts. Yet another woman was hospitalized after she was selling them for $1,000 each, and she was having a hard time keeping up with demand. Her bean budget must have been insane. I wonder if I could set up a service for OF models where I dress up as their father and tell them that I'm proud of you, sweetie. Moving on, after Trump won, we are now seeing ugly women going their own way. They're already Chad cells because Chads won't sleep with them, so it's no big loss. They're also way too boring trying to copy men going their own way. I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years they claim that men are only going their own way because women did first. Most men in their 20s and early 30s have already left the sex and dating markets. Number 25, and the last one, we have Beyonce transforming into Pamela Anderson in her iconic red Baywatch swimsuit. Oh, the irony that the poster girl of the black female community has spent her entire life doing everything she can to look more white. But if a white woman dressed up as a black woman, she would be called racist and a cultural expropriator. They would cry out, "My culture is not your costume." I bet Beyonce fits the black stereotype and can't even swim. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Please give this video a like to push it up in the algorithm and so new viewers can find it. If you enjoy this series and want me to keep making it, then donate at the PayPal and subscribe star links below. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.